Hey, welcome back to the big program. We got a very special guest for you today, but before we get to all that, we started last week talking about APS kids not being able to play and school board members, and I promised you I would introduce you to some of these cowards and show you their pictures and show you how to get in contact with them. So we are going to start doing that today. I want you to meet one of these APS board members right now. Throw that picture up there, Josh, for our wonderful audience. There's Barbara Peterson. She represents District 4. If you're not familiar with District 4, that is the district that Highland High School resides in. Highland is the only high school in her jurisdiction. Her term doesn't come up for another couple of years. So there's the phone number, there's the email address. Miss Peterson's background is she used to be the political outreach director for the teachers union, and she still sits on the retired board of the teachers union. So I ask you, who's she serving on that school board? Well, we know it's not the students. We know it's the teachers union. That's obvious. Call that number, send her an email, ask her why, ask her to explain that vote. She's one of the group that we'll be going through the entire board. Some of them are up, their terms are up, and you just wait till the election and you get someone else in there, hopefully. But some of them, it's going to be a while, so you might have to do something else, and that means recall. And it's actually not that hard. I looked into it. So the way you recall an APS board member is you go down to the courthouse and you file a petition first for some sort of malfeasance or them not doing their job correctly, which shouldn't be hard because they're not. A judge approves your petition, and then all that happens is you have to go out and figure out how many people voted in their election. So let's take Miss Peterson, for example. You take you figure out how many people voted in that election, and then you need 33.3% of that amount on the signatures of the petition. You get to the 33.3%, voila, you got a recall election, and you can get these guys out on their you-know-what. So it's not impossible. We'll be going through that the next couple of weeks because these people are obviously not representing our kids. APS stuck on the sidelines while everyone else gets to play. One of those kids lucky enough to play is my guest, and that's Bernalillo High Spartan Ayden Madrid. Ayden, welcome to the program, man.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's good to finally get you in here, and there is so much I want to talk about. I want to get into your junior season, obviously. We get into the football side of things, but so much more than that. Starting out with, obviously, we've had a lot of cool in that chair, but never never a Stetson or never a Resistol cool. So I like to pretend I pretend I'm a cowboy. I walk around every now and then with jeans and I'll chew tobacco. But you're the real deal, right?
Yeah, that's what we do.
All right. Yep. So did you stop? Well, just but behind the scenes, our studio is on Central Avenue and between 5th and 6th. Right next to us is the Man's Hat Shop. I don't know if you had a chance to look downstairs, but that is one of the oldest and most iconic cowboy hat stores in the state. That's where Don Imus used to get all of his hats. But tell us about that, man, because you grew up a legitimate rancher cowboy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my entire life I've just been cowboying. When I started riding a horse by myself when I was 4, we'd go out on the ranch and we'd be pushing cows, and my dad would have to peel off to go get another 50 head around the corner, and an hour later I'm sitting there crying, just my horse is taking me and we're going down the lane.
This is how old?
I'm 4
Wow.
years old. I didn't even have stirrups or anything, nothing fit, and I'm just sitting on the horse and pushing. My horse was doing all the work, and my dad comes back in and I was like, where were you? And an hour later. But yeah, my entire life that's what I've been doing even to this day.
So that sounds like a very time-consuming full-time gig. Take us through your day-to-day kind of things on the ranch.
Oh, so now with sports and basketball and football and doing all that stuff, so Wednesdays we don't have school, or we just have a check-in period. So pretty much, Wednesday looks kind of like get up. I go to the gym early in the morning. Then I come home, I'll feed, and then we do whatever needs to be done that day. Say we gotta plant a field, or sometimes we run up to the ranch and check cows, drop feed, then make it back for practice. That's always the hard one, making it back for practice or trying to leave there at 12 o'clock. You can hardly get
How far away from Bernalillo High School is your ranch?
It's 45 minutes where our main headquarters ranch is at. Yeah.
So this is big. We're talking you got stuff property everywhere, right? Tell us about
Yeah, we ranch up in Vegas, up in Ocate, up in Clonch, and then up in Stanley, New Mexico. It's like in between Santa Fe and Klein's Corners.
that. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no grass, there's no moisture, so you gotta find the grass. You gotta go other places.
So is that something you kind of just went into naturally because it's a family thing, or when did you kind of develop a passion and a love for that?
Yeah, I was raised on it,
Right.
and I grew to love it. Like I really think that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So.
And what are some things people don't know, like, city slickers? Let's be honest, city slickers like us. What do we not have a clue about that you're doing day to day, basically on the ranch?
Everyone thinks ranching is just you jump on a horse and you ride all day, and I mean that's like 10% of it. I mean, you're checking water troughs, you're making sure that all the calves have feed, the calves come out all right. You're tagging, you're branding. Like, there's so much more to it. And I don't want to call out all these rodeo cowboys.
All right. Well, yeah, no. Tell me about it. What's a rodeo cowboy versus a real cowboy?
Well, someone who wears the spurs, jumps on a horse, and ropes in a rodeo, and then goes back home wherever his home is. But there's a lot more to ranching than just riding a horse in an arena.
Right. So okay, what? All right. So so that's a rodeo cowboy. All right, so me and my friends, okay, so you tell us what kind of cowboys we are, okay? So we will get on Ticketmaster and order our concert tickets, maybe a Brad Paisley, maybe a George Strait if we're lucky, okay? Then we go to Walmart and maybe find some plaid or something, and then we head to the show, and because country concerts are the best, with the Daisy Dukes and the cowgirls get up, and that's the extent of our cowboys. So are we the ultimate city cowboys when we do that?
We have a special name for y'all.
Oh, can you even say it on TV? What is it?
It's called Asphalt Cowboys.
Oh,
Y'all just, yeah.
wow, Asphalt Cowboys. I like that. All right, we're gonna take a break and we'll come back with Ayden Madrid right after this.
As Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. An 8. 2 receivers at the top. Harris has all day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man. Touchdown. Wildcats. Not a defender inside.
A little bit.
Webskowski on the sideline. Hasta mañana. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24 Rancho, late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabbed. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out. Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
All right, welcome back. Asphalt Cowboy Sebastian Noel here with real cowboy Ayden Madrid of the Bernalillo Spartans. All right, so we got all that out of the way. I guess we'll dig into some football, man, although that other stuff is much more interesting. But you are a tackling machine. So let's talk about your junior year first. 172 tackles, that's a state record. I mean, how does that even happen?
I mean, it's my D-line. They're keeping guys off me. They're keeping me clean, allowing me to clean up the plays. You know, there's guys sneaking out the outside, and my linebackers constrict, contain. They take on that lead block, and I'm able to get outside and make the tackle. It's really all them.
Was that a goal coming into the season, or did you even know what the record was? Like, what was your goal going into the season?
I had no idea what the record was. It definitely wasn't a goal of mine. I was there to play football and you know, just try to put myself on a platform to play at the next level.
Right. When did that get on your radar? Even that, like, okay, when did coach first say, hey, you're getting close? When did that happen?
So actually, it was after the season, probably like 2 months after the season. Kobo said, "Hey, you broke the record,"
Right.
and I was like, "Broke the record for what?" He's like, "Tackles in a season." I was like, "No way!" And so he emails the guy, and then
Because you won the Defensive Player of the Year award, right, at the Metro banquet, and that's kind of when I was like, wait a minute, when they have a football team in Bernalillo? And I looked it up, and I saw the stats, and I mean, because that doesn't happen. I mean, that just tells you how phenomenal of a season you had. I mean, we've been fortunate enough to participate in those banquets for years. And they're all Metro banquets, so it's your Albuquerque kids plus you guys in Bernalillo, Las Lunas, right? And so I'm going to tell you, it's pretty rare when someone outside of the city takes home hardware.
Yeah.
And, like, I did the double take when I got the email. I was like, what? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, what, that 172? Like, that can't be right. And so that's a phenomenal season. You sprinkled in 17 rushing touchdowns, too, so obviously you're playing both ways. Talk about that.
For sure, yeah. I mean, down there we play Ironman football. Put the 11 best guys.
Do they
on
still have the
field.
bell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
we've been ringing it a lot more these days.
like, that thing got rusty for a while, didn't
Yeah.
it? Because I can remember, I mean, and we'll talk about that, like, how, because you grew up in the community, right?
Yes.
So you've seen Spartan football kind of change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, I couldn't tell you the years, but the quarterback used to work for me there in Bernalillo. And I can remember him coming into work on Saturday mornings like concussed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he was our quarterback and our linebacker.
right. I would ask him, I'd be like, Devontae, what's the matter, man? You don't look good. He's like, yeah, I got sacked 8 times last night. I had a concussion. And, like, so I remember it was pretty lean years, right?
Yeah.
But you guys have turned the corner, man.
Yes.
And that is always something special as a player, to be part of the group that changes the culture, turns the corner. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed so much since my 8th grade year, because I played my 8th grade year, and the seniors my 8th grade year, really they set the stones, and we've just been building ever since. I mean, you know, kids showing up to practice, kids fully buying in. I mean, this year we have, I think, something like 20 seniors,
Right.
and they're all bought in. You know, they're showing up to practice on time, and they're doing what it takes to win a blue trophy.
And how has Coach Cobol's expectations changed over the years? Has he kind of always raised them every season? Talk about that. Because Coach has obviously a part in building that culture and turning that corner. So talk about that.
For sure, coaches just since the beginning, he's always preached one team, one family, one unit, and we always stick together no matter what. And he's made it very clear to the previous seniors, like, about setting stones, doing the right things now. You know, I remember my 8th grade year, I think we didn't win a game, or maybe we won one game, and
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but
and ever since then, just those seniors were setting the stones, and Cobos was tremendous in making that happen.
I mean, it's got to be hard, you know, like I've talked to kids that have been part of seasons like that, and, you know, it's got to be hard when you're not winning at all show up every day for practice, come back, you know. We mentioned Devontae, the quarterback of that team, you know, he's concussed Saturday mornings, right? But he's putting the work in, he's sticking it out. And then to reap the benefits of that, when you can see the wins, as a team, you see the wins. As an individual, you see the recognition, the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, that's got to be huge to see it from point A all the way to point Z.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the growth and like I said, the commitment is just, it's crazy. I mean, we used to have kids that maybe we'd get a Monday, Tuesday, we didn't know about the rest of the week, and then Thursday comes around and everyone's doing pregame, and now you got your guys. We got 11 goons consistent, and they're coming to play football.
All right. And Bernalillo, you know, traditionally has been always known as a kind of a basketball place, right? Yeah. But so to build some football culture, that has to be pretty special, right?
Yes, for sure. My entire life, it's always been like about basketball. Right. I used to sit. My house is like right by the school, and so I used to sit. We have this horno, and I used to sit there and I used to listen. And they would shoot fireworks when they scored touchdowns. Back then, there wasn't many fireworks, but
right.
these days we're sending them up. That's for sure.
So, talk about a little bit about, you know, what's your mindset like? Okay, you're there as an 8th grader playing varsity. First of all, that doesn't happen very often. So take us through that year. That's the year I want to talk about.
That was
there like a lot of just like deer in the headlights, or were you?
No, that year I started out. I showed up to summer workouts, and that year we had some big linemen, right? I actually played line that year. So I come in, and I'm going against these big old linemen, and I had to slowly but surely earn my spot. By the 3rd game, I got myself a starting spot as a left tackle, and ever since then, and then I believe it was my sophomore year, I begged Cobos to let me play linebacker.
So there was never a moment that 8th grade year where you felt like, oh man, like this is too much. This is, you know, there was no moments where anyone was like, who's that 8th grader out there? What's he doing? There was never any of that ever?
There was a lot of people out there that were like, you know, Cobos had a lot of calls, and my parents were worried because, I mean, I'm an 8th grader and there's all these seniors coming at me, but I felt like I could compete, and Cobos is a great evaluator, and he felt like I could compete, so he made that decision, and it was the best decision for sure.
And like now, I mean, when you're varsity 8th grader, that's got to do something for your confidence too, right? I mean, that's got to set your confidence up to succeed the next 4 years, doesn't it?
For sure. It was definitely a confidence booster, but, you know, I was the bottom tier lineman, you know what I mean? So I still had a long ways to go. I always kept my nose on the gridiron and just kept rolling.
We're going to take our final time out here. We'll be back with Aiden. We'll talk a little bit more about football there at Bernalillo, and then we'll talk about football at the next level, and then much more when we get back.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Networks.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of Proview Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Tackling machine Ayden Madrid is my guest this week. Before we get back into the questions, I can't stop looking at that. Like, how much does a hat like that run you?
A hat like
Can
this.
can I get a look at that? You think?
Yeah, I got hat hair under. I don't know
okay,
about
all right. You don't want to show the hat here. I get it. All right. Like,
mean,
that's
we're
got to be a
live.
couple hundred, right? Like,
Yeah,
like,
this
not.
is about a $300 hat.
Okay, all right.
I got this actually in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right. Let's go back to football. We talked about Defensive Player of the Year awards. We talked about how it started as an 8th grader on varsity there. What's next? Well, first, athletic family, right? Didn't you have a sister that
Yes.
played some college athletics? Talk about that.
Well, she played soccer. Right?
Right.
She's always been in clubs and on the club teams. And
Soccer
things.
counts. Don't get me in trouble with the soccer crowd, okay? Soccer counts.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Okay.
That. So my dad actually he had a full ride to Gonzaga, but felt like it was too far from home. So he ended up playing here at UNM and then played for the New Mexico Chili. So he's all about soccer.
Okay, good.
He always teases me. He tells me that I play football because I got cut from the soccer team.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
don't know all
really?
that.
Like, come on, Dad. But yes, she started soccer young along with me, and she ended up playing in Trinidad as a I think she was a defender.
Okay, all right. So when it came time for college football, was that always a goal of yours? Or, I mean, talk about that.
That has always been the goal of mine, just to make it to the next level. And once that came through, I mean, Colorado, that's where I wanted to be.
Right, for our audience that doesn't know, you turned down Eastern New Mexico to go to Fort Lewis. So what went into that decision?
I got to actually go visit the school. I was able to do like an actual visit.
Yep.
And it was really cool. Coach Riff, he's the linebacker coach, and we gelled really good together. It felt like a real homey place, you know. And then the location, I mean, you're in Durango, Colorado. You can't beat that. So that's why I went with them.
Were you happy to get that out of the way, like a big thing off your shoulders?
Oh, I couldn't sleep at night. I was like, I'd be laying in bed trying to make, like, which is the right decision. Where do you go? What do you do? You know, something that you've been thinking about your whole life, and then all of a sudden it's just like right here. You're like, oh, this came way too fast.
Right. Now, you got some great news actually today. On the day we're filming, your schedule came out today.
It did.
So who are you guys playing?
We're playing Gallup first at home, and then we have Albuquerque Academy at home, and then we have St. Pius somewhere in Albuquerque, wherever their stadium is.
Okay, so that's that's bad news for Gallup, right? In week 1? Yeah, so that's what that is.
Definitely bad news for Gallup.
So you start the season 1-0, and then you head into the next. So
Yes.
I mean, you guys could be perfect heading into
be
Pius. Pius always has a good team,
Yes.
so that'll be a good game.
Yeah, last year it was. Yeah, we just didn't show up.
Right.
You know, we were prepared, and we just didn't show up to play football. It was really cold. That's what everyone blames it, but it comes
Right.
down to not showing up.
Now, how has COVID affected Bernalillo High School? And well, you had it, right? Didn't you have it?
Yeah, I did.
So talk about that. I mean, talk about your experiences with COVID.
I had it, and like I believe the first day it was, the first night I had the chills, and then I went to bed. I woke up in a full sweat, and then I had a headache all day long. Lost my sense of smell, and that was it.
Okay.
And
How many days for the recovery?
it was, I had to wait however many days. I think it was 14 days that I had
Right.
to wait, but I was recovered on the third day.
Okay.
I was already running, and my lungs were fine.
So what safeguards are in place now, obviously, that you guys are following? How has your football experience, your day-to-day football life changed now? Obviously, you guys want to want to get through this season, and for everyone to get through a season, we talked about this last week, you can't have one knucklehead on the team that wants to go to a party, that wants to not wear a mask, that wants to. So it's a lot more, accountability now. Talk about how everything's changed for you guys.
So much has changed, especially now that we have to be in like these pods,
Right.
and so we can't come in close. We got to somehow stretch at 6 foot all together, and then we got to go out into our pods, and we got to stay away from each other. Water breaks are separate. So, and in the early days, it was just like, yeah, we're excited to be out here, even if it's in pods, and then it just kind of gets like, and so. It was, yeah.
But are you guys at a mindset now, like, okay, now there's an actual schedule on paper.
Yes.
Now we got to make sure we don't screw this up.
Yes.
Like, who are some of, like, I would imagine you'd be one of the leaders. Like, if a freshman tries to act a fool, are you going to rein them in? Who's doing that? Who's,
For sure.
Talk about the added responsibilities of making sure no one screws this up for the group.
Yeah, we
Have you talked about that?
me and the other captains, we feel like coaches. We're driving around town making sure everyone's safe and at home, and if anyone wants to go out and do something, you invite them to your house or whatever. You guys stay as a team. Whatever you do as a team. And Cobos has really helped us with that, to continue to be a team. Even you don't need to go to a party. You don't need to go do outside things. Just do things as a team.
Right. Briefly touch on a short freeway drive away from you guys into Albuquerque. There's a whole bunch of kids that aren't going to get to play. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, as a student athlete, well, one, did you think there was going to be a season? Was today's news a surprise for you? Because I know a lot of students had gotten to the point where they didn't think they'd have a season.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the early or in the middle of COVID, whenever we'd practice and then the governor would shut us down. And we'd practice and then she'd shut us down. That was tough on the mind, and but up the road in at APS,
Right.
I mean, I could only imagine what those kids are going through. I don't know what I would do to not have a senior season, and I have the opportunity to go to the next level, and for the kids that don't, I mean, for that to be your junior year was your last season.
Right.
That I couldn't imagine. I would rally the troops.
Right. I guess the only logical last question is, how the hell do you top 172 tackles in a year? What do you have in store for us this year?
I don't know. We're just gonna. I mean, obviously, I don't have the amount of
shorter
games.
season, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's hard to set a goal. I mean, we're planning on not even having a season. Well,
Right.
we're always planning on having a season, but you were still unstable. So I think the goal setting.
It's different,
season
right?
one, yeah, it's different for sure. Got to come up with some realistic goals at some point.
Well, I'm glad we finally got to get you in here. Congratulations with all these achievements, man. Good luck at Fort Lewis. And let's go downstairs, go hat shopping. What do you think?
All right, that sounds good.
Ayden Madrid, thanks so much for coming in. Good night. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.